You pull yourself to your feet and listen to the ore train as it disappears into the distant gloom with a sound like dying thunder. When you can no longer hear its rumble, you walk back along the tunnel to the junction where a new passageway branches off to the left. You now decide to find the Moonstone prompts you to explore this tunnel, and you follow it for several hundred yards until you reach a dank and empty cavern. Streams of ore-rich water runs down the walls of this chamber, staining them a rusty shade of brown. You are hungry and you decide to stop and rest here for a while. I don't know what you would eat down here, but you eat it.
Ooh, maggot.
While you're resting, you decide to consult the Tome of Darkness to see if it has any useful information about this strange subterranean complex. You retrieve the book from your backpack and thumb through its shiny blank pages until you discover 2 pages that have changed both in color and texture. A cluster of rust-red lettering is enclosed within the black runic borders that outline these 2 sheets of creamy parchment. Once again, using your magnified discipline of pathmanship, you study the complex text and able to decipher much of its meaning. The words tell of Xanthas, the Lord of the Pit, whose many accompanying titles include Reaper of Gloom, Armorer of the Fell Legions, and Guardian of the Gate of Dragonflame.
Huh.
It says that he presides over a deep realm of rock, iron, steel, and flame, and that among the many eternal duties he's been set by Nor, his primary task is to forge weapons of power for the Dark God's champions. Xanthas has no secret name, but you are able to translate the text which details how one can leave his domain. It makes for uneasy reading. The tome states that any who wish to depart must first defeat Xanthas in mortal combat and cast his body into the pit of dark flame, from whence he shall be reborn. Only by proving oneself worthy in combat against Xanthas can one cause the Gate of Dragonflame to release the worthy victor. The name Xanthas is vaguely familiar. You are sure that you have heard it before. As you ponder the remaining text with light...
You better watch out. You better not...
I wonder when a joke like that would pop up. As you ponder the remaining text which lists his infamous deeds, you suddenly recall where it was that you heard his name spoken. It was many years ago while you were still initiate at the Kai Monastery, and your old tutor, Stormhawk, was lecturing your class about the Dracarim, the barbarian race of humanoids whose conquest in northern Magnamund precedes the rise of the Dark Lords of Helgedad. Xanthas was the name of the warrior god whom the Dracarim worship.
Huh. So the Dracarim's warrior god is our next target.
Yep.
Santa is a warrior god. Why not?
You know what? I'm actually looking forward to this. I get the feeling that this will be epic.
Feeling a little unnerved by what you have
before we continue, what was it we were supposed to do to defeat him again?
Throw him into the pit of dark flame.
Yeah, defeat him in mortal combat, throw him into the dark flame pit.
Pit of dark flame!
Yeah.
And then you can pass through the Gate of Dragonflame.
I see.
Do you think it's guarded by a Selkie?
I don't know.
It'll be then we can hopefully kill it.
I know that at least the Minions of Darkness seems to have this fascination with fire in this place.
Feeling a little unnerved by what you have discovered and remembered, you close the tome and slip it back into your pack. You sense that the Moonstone is not to be found here in this domain of tunnels, and so you resolve to escape from here as soon as possible. But if you are to do so successfully, it seems you will have to find and defeat Xanthas, the warrior god of the Dracarim.
Yeah, we already established what he was in his name and rank.
You get to your feet and continue along the tunnel which leads out of the empty cavern. You follow this passageway for several hundred yards until you arrive at a junction where another tunnel crosses your path from right to left. Cautiously, you scan the tunnel in both directions and notice that away to your right, a little more than 20 yards distant, is an open archway. Although you can sense no living presence, the angle of view and the darkness of the interior prevents you from determining what lies beyond this archway. To your left, your tracking skills reveal that the tunnel leads eventually to a dead end. Do you wish to investigate what lies beyond the arch, or would you rather continue down the main tunnel?
Let's investigate.
Investigate then.
Yeah.
You approach...
Someone might have dropped the moon jewel thing.
I doubt you'll be that lucky. You approach the archway and after checking that there are no hidden traps, you enter. Beyond lies a vast unlit hall which is filled with rows of weapons and armor. Racks of swords, spears, axes and shields stretch into the distance as far as your keen eye can see. Most are crudely forged and of alien design, yet the sheer number of weapons contained within this hall is enough to take your breath away. Of the thousands of weapons contained in the racks nearest to the archway, you discover the following that are of adequate quality: sword, spear, axe, broadsword, arrows, and bow.
I'm just imagining sort of like the same foundries and forges as you would see in, say, Isengard or something like that.
Taking the hobbits to Isengard. Go.
Oh, not that one again. I hate it.
So, do you want anything?
Not really. We have a holy kill blade. I think that should be enough.
Yeah.
Not unless the bow is better than ours.
Nope, it's just average equipment. For countless hours, you follow this tunnel as it ascends and descends by ramps and stairways through a bewildering maze of chambers, vaults, and grand halls. On your travels through this vast underworld, you witness many awe-inspiring sights: huge subterranean quarries, blazing furnaces, armories, weapon forges, steel mills, and white-hot lava pits. Armies of grey-skinned humanoid workers labor without rest within this hellish domain to manufacture weapons of war and destruction, as opposed to weapons of peace and creation.
Actually, that would be a little hard to explain.
Would that
Unfortunately,
be like Eros' bow with the love arrows?
that could be.
That's
I was about
weapons.
to say
That's
it would-
weapons of being really creepy.
Wait.
What about the ones that causes disdain?
That's also creepy. And
Okay, I can sort of see where this is coming from, and I have to agree, it sounds a little eerie.
yep. At one vast hall, you stop to observe a legion of these creatures tapping the volcanic power which lies at the core of this realm. By a system of chutes and tubes, they divert a blazing lava flow to turn gigantic wheels and heat titanic vats of noxious fluids. The workers, although physically similar in size and in demeanor to Dracarum, seems to lack consciousness and remain oblivious to your presence. It is as if they have been turned into unthinking automatons, programmed simply to perform their labor with little regard to their immediate surroundings. You leave the hall and descend a staircase which spirals hundreds of feet through solid rock to a titanic concourse. Here you sense detect a living presence and you allow your car instincts to lead you in pursuit of it. You enter a tunnel which branches away from the concourse and follow this to a wider passage. The walls of this passage are decorated with spectacular scenes of war and destruction. Thousands of troops fight an endless parade of battle across the landscape of 100 different worlds. In each of the scenes, the theme and the outcome is identical: the victory of superior forces of evil over the inferior armies of good.
Well,
How
at least...
do you know?
What?
Because one side looks evilish. I don't know!
I was just wondering if anything, this scenario might be a little humiliating to, well, Lone Wolf, and maybe taking down a peg or two.
This callous celebration of evil military might infuriate you, but you control your anger and use it to sharpen your senses.
Oh.
That would be a big no. You detect that somewhere at the end of this passage is where the living presence can be found, and, not knowing the nature of what it is that you will find there, you approach with the utmost caution. The passage ends at a vast chasm where a narrow bridge of rock crosses a yawning void to a gate located on the far side some 300 yards distant. The gate and its surroundings have been fashioned to resemble the mouth and head of a ferocious dragon, and the bridge of rock is likewise carved to resemble its extended tongue. A shimmering, twinkling blue-white light gleams from the mouth of the dragon gate, revealing it to be the exit from this dark domain. Excited by your discovery, you step onto the narrow rock bridge and make your way across to the far side as swiftly as you dare. On either side of this stone beam, the chasm falls away into a seemingly bottomless pit. You try not to look down, for the sight makes your stomach churn uncontrollably. You are nearing the center of the bridge when suddenly a dark and terrifying apparition manifests itself before the dragon gate. This awesome sight brings you skidding to a halt. Before the dragon gate stands an armored
Skinning to a halt?
skidding to a halt.
So we were making skid marks, and now we stopped.
I don't know. Before the dragon gate stands an armored colossus, clad from horned helm to booted foot in glowing black plate armor. This mighty warrior stands at full arm's length taller than yourself, and radiates an evil so intense that you feel your skin crawling with fear and revulsion. That's evil you can taste. In his right hand he wields a broadsword carved with runes of power, and in his left a dagger that bleeds scarlet venom. He raises the sword and spears of blue lightning arc from the surrounding chasm walls to earth themselves upon the hilt of his unholy blade. You launch a psychic probe to test the mental defenses of this godlike warrior, and you're shocked when you fail to locate his mind force. You sense that this being is a living entity, and that he is the source of the power that has drawn you to this chasm. Yet it is as if his mind has been erased. He has the psyche of an automaton, cold, brutal, and utterly unhuman. His mental state presents a formidable defense against your powerful psychic abilities, rendering them near useless. Yet when your psychic skills may fail, your agility and your mastery of conventional combat may prove especially effective against this hulking foe. And there's a picture of him.
So we're going to have to fight a mix between Darth Vader and Sauron.
Let me have a look and see how this guy. Okay, this looks like a fine challenge.
His crotch apparently wants to eat you.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you comment on.
Isn't it usually the other way around?
But yeah, we have actually seen it before. Look at the map. He's down there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's the guy. You can recognize him on his asymmetrical fashionable helmet.
No, actually, I recognize him by the sword.
and
Test the
so
same
he's from the realm of fire. You're going in the wrong direction.
Also, I'm just a little curious about one thing.
Yes.
He has this giant suit of black armor, but his robe make him look like a mix between, again, a warrior and a wizard.
Maybe he's a spellblade.
That would be even more awesome. Right now, I just want to fight this guy.
So, do you wish to use your bow?
Yes.
I don't know
Sure.
how to use, but yeah, okay, fine.
In the blink of an eye, you unshoulder your bow and draw an arrow ready to fire. The warrior does not flinch in the face of your swift threat, and you soon understand why this is so. As you cast your eye over his body in search of a target, you are unable to detect any chink in the thick plate armor that encases him. Cursing your mysterious foe, you release your arrow and send it whistling towards his throat at a point where the scales of his chest armor meets the lower edge of his great helm. The steel-tipped missile fails to penetrate. It shatters harmlessly on impact, and the pieces tumble away into the chasm.
In other words, plinked fail.
Yep. So, delete an arrow. Having now tested the armor, you are in no rush to close for combat with his enemy. If at all possible, you would still prefer to use your skills to defeat him at a distance. Do you wish to use Grand Nexus, Magi Magic, or neither?
Magi magic, I would suggest.
Yeah, let's try Magi Magic.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, he might have heavy armor, but maybe it will slow his speed. At least a little.
You give voice to the old kingdom power word Glor, and project its concussive energy at the towering warrior. He shudders momentarily as the invisible force of your spell word collides with his chest, but the shock is insufficient to topple him from this narrow beam of rock, and he quickly recovers. The warrior retaliates by raising his black sword and releasing a crackling surge of electrical energy from its tip. It passes over your head and earth itself to the end of a stone beam, at the place where it joins the chasm wall. You feel a jolt beneath your feet as the beam cracks and breaks away from the wall, and to your amazement you watch as this solid spar of rock curls up and slowly rolls in towards you, like a snake tongue returning to its mouth. The coiled beam retracts towards the mouth of the Dragon Gate, forcing you nearer and nearer to the fearsome black warrior. As he watches your reluctant approach, he swings his mighty sword above his head, slicing and stabbing at the air with it in eager anticipation of the coming fight. When you are pushed to within 10 yards of the gate itself, you reach for your own weapon and brace yourself for a fight that seems unavoidable.
Well, I would frankly prefer to fight a Viking berserker in real life.
You unsheath your magical sword, and a halo of light engulfs its razor-sharp blade, illuminating the surrounding gloom of the chasm. The towering warrior roars with anger as the light from your sword washes over him. It is as if its goodly glow is causing him great pain. He bellows a phrase in the dark tongue, and suddenly his broadsword is sheathed with a black fire that crackles and spits venomously. Then the
His broadsword is shaved.
his broadsword is sheathed with black fire.
Oh,
Then
well, that makes more sense.
Then the cruel dagger clenched in his left hand begins to glow red. When its poisoned tip becomes white hot, it emits a trail of noxious steam. With a maniacal yell, the warrior raises both of his weapons and strides forward, stabbing and slicing wildly as he advances upon you. The first blow from his sword hits your blade with such power that you are thrown back as far as the coiling tongue of rock will allow. You recover quickly, then launch yourself forward in a swift and desperate attempt to seize the combat advantage.
So he's not so much about tactics and being a cunning general as to just make stuff die.